What is up? Welcome to Motorsport Report. Motorsport news for you. I'm Chase Holden. Hello, everyone in the chat that's already here. Daniel, Chris, Connor, Jason, Botabs. Dogs, what's up? How many? I feel like after we did World of Outlaws, got a lot of new dirt fans over here on this channel. Hopefully Chaz will be joining us today. Where's Chaz? We're still looking for him. I had to go do my research this past weekend for everybody that joined me on the World of Outlaws streams. So I had to go find the Chaz guy, and I found him. Boy, oh boy, was Chaz angry. He's a nobody! He's a nobody! Ah! That was him. That was my impersonation of Chaz, putting my name on blast for all his fans and followers. What a guy. What a fucking guy. Man, oh man. That's why we don't drink. That's why we don't drink. That's why we stick to NOS. I like to live on the edge. You know what I mean? Let me close my barnyard door. The Chaz ain't hard to find. That's what they say. Yeah, crazy. Getting introduced into the world of motorsports and dirt world on YouTube. He did do me a favor. He kind of did do me a favor. He kind of put me on blast with all his music videos, and what a guy. What a clown. Fun times. I'm excited, though. Got a lot to talk about today. A lot going on in the world of NASCAR. And the lawsuit is kind of been the recurring theme that we've been talking about. Not a ton of new developments in the NASCAR world, other than everybody and their fucking mama is now up in arms over the playoff debate. I kind of this weekend decided that I wanted to really enter that arena and stir some shit up. So I did. We'll talk a little bit about that on the show today. So going to be basically covering what's going on in the world of NASCAR, what's going on right now with the playoff debate, what's going on with the court case. We'll be talking a little bit about my experience at World of Outlaws, World Finals, which was awesome. My first time ever going to a dirt race. Well, I say my first time ever going to a dirt race. My first time going to a World of Outlaws dirt race. So I've been to a couple of tracks, but I've never gotten deep in the weeds the way that I have this weekend, and working with the series itself, and with, of course, NOS Energy. Go get your NOS today. Go tell the lady at your gas station Chase sent you. She's going to ask you who's Chase, and then just leave. And don't tell her anything else. That's just kind of the way we do things over here. Kind of men of mystery. Men and women of mystery here in the chat. So I'll talk to you guys a little bit about that. And then we're also going to have Nick Hoffman on the show today. Nick Hoffman is a World of Outlaws late model dirt car racer. You know, he gets out there, he digs. He just won a pretty cool award, an inaugural award, the Coltman Farms Racing Cup. We're going to talk with him about that, and you guys will get to join me in that interview. You'll be right here in the chat, so I'll be on the lookout for some of your questions that you may have for Nick. If you're joining for that interview, that'll be happening around the 1 p.m. Eastern time block of this show. And then we're going to talk a little IndyCar, too. There's not much really to talk. Speed Street, we recorded Speed Street yesterday. Connor and I did our finale for the year. So if you want to know what's happening in the world of Connor Daly and his plans with IndyCar and what's going on right now, I highly suggest you check out that show on Dirty Mo Media's podcast network. And it'll be on Connor Daly's YouTube later. What's up, Zach? Good to see you. Everybody in the chat that's here is awesome. We're going to keep this conversation going. One part of this show, though, that we do, it's a little bit different than most. And I just found out over the weekend that Chaz does it, too. Good for Chaz. We have the hotline that you can call and you can talk about what's on your mind right now in the world of racing. Learning tons about the internet and racing this week, and I'll go ahead and put that up on the box for you. So the number to call is 980-317-8717. You can call in, chat a little bit, talk about what's on your mind. And of course, we're going to just kind of roll through this as we normally do. When calls come in, that's when we'll stop whatever we're talking about and see what the caller has to talk about. I've been hearing a lot over the last 24 hours. I think a good place to start today's show off will be just kind of talking a little bit about this lawsuit, the lawsuit that we have going on right now in NASCAR between 2311 Front Row Motorsports and NASCAR. It's officially now going to be what is called a monopoly case. I'm a big fan of Monopoly. I've played a lot of Monopoly in my life. But not a good thing you want to be entering in right now, I would say. It sure as shit looks like the teams are in favor right now. And the big news that came out was Rick Hendrick and Roger Penske they're not going to be safe from this lawsuit. They've been deposed. So if you're a legal guy or a girl, you know exactly what that means. If you're not, what that means is that they got to come up on a stand, and they're going to have to say exactly whatever they got to say under oath. So that's huge. This court case is obviously going to be the highlight of the off season. I don't remember the last time we've had an off season where we've had something this deep to sink our nails into. If you've been following along, you've seen where we've already gotten all the financials have kind of been laid out about what NASCAR makes. And I think that the big thing that you got to kind of look at on that side of things is just the fact that the input-output not really adding up number-wise. Botabs here in the chat says, I believe NASCAR will lose this case and be completely exposed, but it will also cause a lot of friction in the garage. And I definitely think that is true. I'm nervous about this case, not a big city lawyer, so I have no idea what to expect in terms of implications. Well, again, and I mentioned this a lot. If you go check out had Jeff Gluck on a few weeks ago, we talked a little bit about what this could mean, and I think that video is still very relevant today. So you can check that out. Jeff really was awesome to have him on to kind of pick his brain a little bit because he's a little bit deeper in the weeds in this stuff. And I think we can all agree that, the people like him and Bob Pockris, they've been doing this for a long time. So they have a pretty good idea of it. And the gist of it all that I gathered was essentially, this is kind of a lose-lose for both parties. And with it being that way, if NASCAR loses, then teams could lose because NASCAR is who kind of makes the rules and who sets the precedent of how things are going to be. So if the teams do win and it gets favored in Monopoly, the judge could theoretically order the sale of tracks. He could completely, try to push into do things that are tough financially, maybe, or maybe not as comfortable for the business side of NASCAR and the NASCAR people that are on the business side. So if that is true, then it really all comes down to ego, and it comes down to, spite at that point. Because if you want something to work, you'll find a way to make it work. And I think that most people have realized that now in this day and age that, if you really want something to work, you can get the right people involved. You can be as passionate as you possibly can be. It may take a little bit of time, but if you are dedicated to the mission and you're dedicated to what you want to achieve in this lifetime, then you're going to go the distance. And so what I really hope from this is that after the lawsuit is done, that they can kind of tamper the ego a bit, maybe on the team side and on the business side of it, because when you start to do those kind of things, it makes a very messy, divisive situation like we have now. And I think we're learning a ton about the world of NASCAR just from kind of watching what's already transpired. We certainly know a lot about the fan base. We certainly know a lot about us, the people that are fans of NASCAR and the people that, kind of work around the industry a bit. Like, it's a very fine line a lot of people have to walk on the media side, depending on who they're covering things for. And it's why, the more that, I progress in this world, the happier I am that I'm affiliated with Dirty Mo, and I'm affiliated with kind of my own YouTube channel and doing things in my own way. And I feel like at the end of the day, truth is what everybody should be after. Everyone should be trying to figure out the truth. I think it's harder than ever to hide shit now in this world that we live in with all the tech that we have. And so why wouldn't you just want to make things, be the best that they can be and be as awesome as possible? I follow that Brian Johnston guy, and some of you guys might not know him. He's not really affiliated in the world, but if you have a Netflix account, you've probably seen that guy Brian Johnston, where he's like, his whole thing is don't die. I'm not going to die. Well, over this weekend, he ended up eating like 5 grams of mushrooms and got shot into oblivion, dude. And he came back and he's just like, man, I'm just happy to be alive. And it'll do that to you. If you've ever experimented with mushrooms, it'll do that to you. You get to this point where you're just like, I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy to like what I like and to do what I do. And you get more into that rhythm of just like, hey, like, let's just make things easier and let's make things fun and let's have a good time. Sig's in chat, King Kong Colin. What's up? I don't want to get too philosophical on down those holes or anything like that. But I say all that just to say that we all love NASCAR. And there's a lot of people out there that say they don't, and they say they hate it. But I think deep down, you love NASCAR. You're just mad at it. I'm kind of mad at it, I started debate big time this weekend, though, and that's kind of what I wanted to get into. I dropped a meme, and anybody in the chat here familiar with the recent Sydney Sweeney interview with that woman from GQ? And I'm gonna get it pulled up over here. We're gonna hop over to browser view real quick. I'm gonna go and pull it up. You guys are about to see my feed on X, so what's good? Let's go to my page real quick. By the way, I don't know if anybody's ever just stopped to look at this. This is my header on Twitter. This really just kind of sums up my brain. This is the way I think. If for some of you that are new here, it's Roger Penske and Chip Ganassi on a scooter riding down in the hood with people on motorbikes and four-wheelers. It's kind of the world I grew up in down in Louisiana. We had a good time. This is the meme that I put up, though, and I had no idea that this thing was going to blow up the way that it did. But the current state of NASCAR, as you can see here, we have this lovely lady, over here. It's a little, she's used to the world she lives in. She's used to, going in with a lot of scripted stuff, and she thinks she knows what the answers are going to be, and she's kind of ready, so she's kind of playing it up a little bit. She's doing her dance. She's doing her thing. She's seasoned in this media world. And then you have Sydney Sweeney over here, which I've labeled as the Winston Cup series, that is just not buying the bullshit anymore. It's so fun to put – microdose is key. Absolutely, Daniel. It's so fun to put this kind of stuff up, though, because I love to see, like, how people perceive it. Because, like, I know what I meant when I put it out. And the way I just explained it to you guys is exactly what I meant. But to see it go into politics, to see it go into mainly politics, it mainly got put into this, like I guess the algorithm picked it up, and it was like our people just decided that that's what it meant. And that's always what's fun for me, is just to see, like, what are people going to do with things I put out there, like, because I know where I'm coming from with it. It's just always interesting to me to see how other people perceive shit. And widely, this one got thrown into the left wing, right wing, from what I saw. But for the most part, I think a lot of people did understand what I was saying with it. I think all of you here in the chat definitely do. Yeah, Tabs politely crushed that woman. She did. I mean, it was all facial expression. So, like, if you're good at, like, understanding facial expressions and reading shit, and I've been good at that my whole life. Like, I'm you know how there's always some people out there that that maybe can't read a room that well. I've never been one of those that couldn't read the room. I've always been able to read the room pretty well. I kind of know when, okay, I know when what I'm saying, it's time to go, or when it's time to stick around, it's time to punch in. Connor knew, yeah. So I figured a lot of people that already follow me and that know me and that really understand me, like you'll know what I mean by shit. You know we like to have fun. And that's the main thing here is, like, I just try to bring as much fun back to shit. I don't mind. I poke some fun at people. I can politely bully every now and then. Like, I like to have a good time. I feel like that's the way we're supposed to be. You know, there's like a study that's out there where it's like if you fuck with people more, you're usually a more loving person and a more friendly person. And I just grew up around a bunch of people that fucked with me my whole life, so I fuck with people naturally. And me and my friends always fuck with each other. So I consider you guys in that same category. We're just fucking with each other, having a good time. Reading the room is important, but not everyone has that in them. They sure don't. A lot of it's shaped by experience and life. And, you know, it's priceless shit that you can't buy. And the older I get, the more I'm starting to learn that. The more I'm starting to, like, really see that, like, as an adult, like, around people. Like, I'm 33. And I'm the same age that Jesus Christ was when he died, dude. That's crazy to me. And so, like, I feel like when you reach an age that's like that biblically, you're kind of like, all right, something turns on in you. You're just kind of like, all right, like I'm cruising now. Like we're steady in the adulthood. Like we're figuring shit out. And you just really start to notice shit, man. You start to notice shit. You don't worry about shit as much as you used to. That's something that I've really come around to. I don't worry about shit like I used to as much, and I'm not as afraid to ask certain questions that maybe in the past I would have been, and I definitely don't have the problem. I just want to pull it up again because her face fucking just kills me. I definitely don't have this problem like I used to anymore with the lady over here on the left. We all go through phases in life, you know, especially when you decide that you're going to get into the world of media and that you're going to get into the world of, you know, especially in this world, like with what I want to do and just make more people like racing and have fun and show that there's all kinds of different ways to do it. You just get to this point to where you finally just drop the bullshit. You just kind of drop the act and you're like, hey, I'm here, you're here. Like, let's figure this out. Let's have a good time while we do it. Because it's just an interesting time to be alive right now. Owing me money with Sigs in chat. What's up, big dog? But yeah. Oh, we got a phone call. Motorsport Report, you're live.
What's going on, man? This is JB. How you doing?
JB, what's good, big dog? How are you?
It's going good. Still mourning over the Hamlin championship, that's for sure.
Yeah, you finally getting there?
Getting there. I seen a picture of him the other day, and as soon as I looked at him, I was like, dude, breaking my heart. I wanted to touch on that for a split second, because I heard last week you were talking about, you know, do we need to change the playoffs? Everybody feels a certain kind of way because of what happened to Denny Hamlin. I feel like the only reason that it hit so hard is I feel like every time I turn on the TV, he was the only one they were talking about.
Yep.
Just him. There wasn't enough information on Willie B, you know, Kyle Larson, you know, Chase Briscoe, like just nothing. And it's just constant attention. That's why it hurts so bad.
Yeah.
You know, they wouldn't shut up talking about it.
No, it's so much.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's huge, too. And not only that, but because of everything happening with his dad as well, I think that definitely beefed up the emotions. Like, if you're a human being and, you know, and you love your dad, you don't have daddy issues and shit like that, like, you're going to feel for the guy.
Yeah. I mean, who would? You know,
right.
Your dad's sick, about to die. But and I was like, I listened to y'all talk about wanting to change the playoffs. I feel like it should be tweaked, but it's like I've never felt this emotional at the end of a season. Going back to like watching Dale Earnhardt get killed at the Daytona 500, like at the beginning, like everybody's feeling this emotion. This is what it's supposed to be. Yeah. But if they would have spread the information around on the other drivers, or if them three wouldn't be so boring of drivers and actually had some like interest in them that we would all like as fans, I don't know what else to do. Like, you're supposed to feel this way.
Yeah.
Like, this is what the sport was supposed to build up the drama to this moment. And everybody that's feeling it should be feeling this way, you know?
No, absolutely. And that's what I find interesting too, JB, because like when I can't remember a NASCAR championship where it's been this way in so long. Like you were saying, it feels like it's been since like Dale died back in 2001. And I mean, I was literally, I remember that day like in the living room playing with my cars, dude, and my dad was like crying, and I was like, "What the hell's going on?" You know,
that was the first race I ever watched.
That's crazy.
Very first one.
Yeah. See, we went to Talladega. We started going to Talladega when I was like 5. I'll never forget because I remember being in the back of my dad's truck, and there was a woman driving by, and she had her boobs out, and she was like right before the exit, and she had beads, and she was like Talladega, and I was 5, and then now that I'm older, I'm like, damn, they really brought me to that when I was 5. I was like, that's what started me as a young NASCAR fan. So I thought that every track was like that for so long. But getting back to your point, I really am at an area where I think that this is like the nature is healing moment for NASCAR, because fans are more outspoken than they've ever been. And it's super polarizing. And I've talked to a lot of drivers. You know, we had Blaney on this show 2 weeks ago, right before he won in Phoenix, which I didn't even know he won that race, by the way. That end of that call, I thought Larson
didn't either.
won. And so it was cool to get to hear from him and talk to him before he went off and did that. But we had Blaney on. Blaney mentioned the 10-race chase. I got to talk with Stenhouse when I was out at World of Outlaws this past weekend, which is another interview I'll have up here on the YouTube channel this week. He's in support of, the 10-race chase. And so there's a few guys that I know that want full season points. Like Priest has said he wants full season points. I know Brad Kay's been very vocal about it. So like even the drivers are divided with this. This is the most polarizing topic NASCAR's had in such a long time. Dirt Merchant is watching. Thank you, brother, for the super chat. But I will say, JB, like this. Is crazy as it does sound, I think this is the best thing for NASCAR. And with the lawsuit that's happening right now, it's going to help elevate it into a little bit more national news coverage. So going into 2026 should be super fucking interesting.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think that the lawsuit, granted I am a Denny Hamlin fan, but I think NASCAR needs to have its books opened up. They need to be torn apart and see what's going on. You know, well, I feel like you own all the tracks, you get a percentage of the money, track revenue, like you're double dipping hardcore on everything. Yeah, you spent, $1 million for Chicago or San Diego or doing the Bowman Gray thing or the Coliseum. Like I get you're spending money in those markets, but like you're hugely double dipping, and us as the fans aren't getting enough out of you as a sanctioning body. Plus, not only that, all the bad no calls they make all the time. You police the sport, but you can't even police it properly.
That's what I mean.
There's
you saw
so many questionable
IndyCar.
Calls.
IndyCar is getting third-party officiating now. I don't know if you saw that or not. So that's I
heard you talk about that, I think.
Yeah. So that's another form of just like ways they can do it. But yeah, like you're saying, like I think that it sucks that it had to come down to this, but it's like if it is here and it does go to trial, like it still could get settled technically because we have until December 1st. But when you do that, it really just like there's nothing to hide anymore, and you can say, okay, well, let's see what's really fair and what's not fair, and let's fix this so that we don't ever have to get here anymore. And I mean, I would just think that I'm the kind of person I like to solve problems, and like I want to make things simple. And things, I feel like even though people always all the time want to remind you like, oh, things aren't that simple. It is really that simple though. Like it can be that simple. And so maybe this is what it will take. Maybe it will take this exposing, and maybe there'll be a short-term, hurt. The big thing that people are worried about is the possibilities that, I think I'm not so worried about like some Saudi Arabian company coming over and starting a stock car series as much as I've heard other people in the media talk about. I'm not so worried about that. I'm more worried about like how is ego going to affect the ruling. Like I'm more worried about like, are people going to be able to take a deep breath, look in the mirror and be like, okay, like we can be better? Or are people just going to want to continue to kind of be shitty, selfish, and keep things?
Or they could just shut down altogether and be like, to hell with everybody.
And I mean, honestly, I don't think that would happen. It wouldn't make sense for that to happen, but, like, I'm not going to sit here and also lie and say that, like, it didn't cross my mind depending on, like, how mad or how egotistical things can get. Like that, because I feel like for the rest of your life, you would be looked at as just a complete piece of shit if the France family scrapped NASCAR altogether over a lawsuit. Like that would be irreparable damage, and they obviously care enough about what people think about them to try to defend things as hard as they are right now. So I personally just feel that this is a learning moment, maybe for the organization, and that they should look around and they should look at Formula One. They should look at IndyCar. I mean, hell, even look at, something like World of Outlaws that I just got checked out this past weekend, Point system matters, and then allowing teams to have more money so that they can market effectively, and then they can have departments where inside the team they can be focusing on the things that matter, and then have just a dedicated marketing team to focus on the things that matter for building star power in your drivers. When you have all that internally and you don't have enough resources to get that out there, there's a reason why Dale Earnhardt and Jeff Gordon were the two biggest stars, and it wasn't just because of Winston points. It wasn't just because, they were the dominating factors out there on the track with the fan base. It's because they knew how to manage their shit the best, and they were able to build themselves up and win on top of it. So
100%.
To me, I just feel like that's not it should be a lot easier. It should be more simple than it is. Or that people can make it, because the one, like I said, I've learned enough in my time now to where, when it comes to business, corporations and stuff, and I wasn't always doing this. I was an insurance agent before this, and I worked in finance. So it's like, I saw how things, you have to like run shit up the ladders and the departments, and you got to wait for weeks at a time to hear from shit. Just get more passionate people in the building that care about what they're doing, and people are going to move fast and they're going to get shit done quick.
Yeah, I mean, I wish they would be more like represent themselves like the NFL. Like we've gone long enough to where you don't have multiple race teams that aren't the name brand guys showing up every week. Let's make it more like the Shield. Then we can get away from pay to play drivers. I think that hurts the sport too on a grander scale. You can't get these local. Denny Hamlin's probably the last driver, not to toot his horn, that was not a pay to play driver. He was sought at a short track. JD Gibbs liked him, gave him a shot and an opportunity, and he was successful. We don't have that anymore.
Don't leave Josh Berry out. Don't leave Josh Berry out. He's one of those guys.
Well, it helps when your friend's Dale Jr., bro.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same kind of thing, though. I mean, you still have to, if you're a person, you still have to, like, get into the industry and do the work and meet the people and network and grow. But I watched that 2006 Daytona. I think it was the shootout where Denny was like, he was like, this was my last chance, and his dad and his mom are there. And like for all of it to be built off that one moment it's really cool. Like whether you're a Denny hater or not, you got to respect the journey and respect the grind.
Oh yeah. And you don't get that anymore. It's all pay to play. So if we can let the teams get a bigger piece of the pie, bring them into the fold of NASCAR as an actual team representative, let them help make decisions and help grow the sport side by side with NASCAR, they can go out there and find the best talent and be able to pay the best talent.
Scout.
Instead of getting guys with just daddy's money coming into the
sport. Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of, like, having people that work for a team. Like, I'm a big baseball fan as well. So, like, they have so many scouts that are going out to high schools, to colleges. Like, I feel like you need that you need that in NASCAR because you want to bring up the best talent. You want to find the best talent out on these dirt tracks and on these short tracks, and you want to be like, look, we're going to put a little bit behind you. We're going to do this. So even if they do have some of those programs, which I know that they do have some programs that are kind of like that, you need to put more emphasis on those programs, have more resources to those programs, but make it to where it's individual for teams so that the teams can do that within their own, departments. And I think that, that will create some fun too, because they have, you don't really have like a NASCAR draft or anything like that, like the NFL and the NBA has. But it adds another layer of competition because now you have scouts out there that are like, I want this guy. No, I want this guy. Well, what can this guy give you that this guy can't, And so that's more storylines. That's more things to talk about. And it gets more eyes on local racing, local short tracks, dirt tracks. It gets people going out to here. They're like, I want to see that kid right there, that he's going to be the next rookie for Hendrick or the next rookie for Penske. And it just creates this ripple effect throughout all of motorsport, and that's the way it should be.
And last thing, and I'll let you go, contracts. I want to know what the drivers' contracts are.
Right.
I want to know how much money they're getting. Remember the year Daniel Hemrick won the Xfinity Series championship?
Mm-hmm.
It came out that if he didn't make a top 5 during the race, he wasn't getting paid. Why are we waiting until the championship race to disclose that information? Like that's a talking point week to week of whether or not he's going to be able to afford his house, his expensive cars, feed his family if you don't make a top 5.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we got to know that information. Other than that, I love your show. Keep it going.
Hey, brother, thanks so much for calling, JB. I appreciate it.
Yep.
That was JB calling in. And just to kind of follow up on what JB was saying right there at the end with contracts, I think that it's so important, but at the same time, like at the current climate that racing's in, especially even NASCAR, even IndyCar, like you dip around there, I feel like a lot of people would be so shocked to learn that it's not as much. And I think that maybe they don't publicly put that out there because it doesn't rival these other pro sports leagues in financial terms. And that's just, I guess, fear of being judged or looked at in a different way. But I think that might not always be a bad thing because, if people are going to judge it based off of the monetary value, like, for one, yes, you should get paid. You should definitely get paid for doing what they're doing, and you should get paid very well for it. Also, at the same time, though, it's like, I don't think that let's say this lawsuit gets through, things become more fair, more money gets pumped into it, teams are able to kind of outsource their marketing to build the star power up, more money starts flooding in that way. In another 5 years or so, you might have those big money contracts like you see in NFL and NBA. But for now, it definitely is a weird territory where the whole ground of racing right now is kind of like cracked open. It's like an earthquake happened, and like, the people are seeping up, and they're like, oh, you make this much, oh, you have this much, oh, you have this, oh, you have that, and everyone's going to want to suck off the nip, dude. So it's like the drip happens, right? So you got to fix that. You have to fix those things, and like I said, unfortunately, sometimes when a pimple gets bad enough, it's going to pop on its own, and it kind of popped here. Botab's in the chat. How do we feel about Corey Day in NASCAR? I believe his talent has him in this position he's in. I'm going to tell you right now, I learned a lot about Corey Day this past weekend when I went to World of Outlaws. That dude can tear it up on a track. Like, as far as his pure cognition, being able to navigate through different lines on a dirt track, that kid has got the vision. So it's always going to be there's always going to be its own challenges going from like dirt to asphalt, just wanting to send it and not really being able to because of the tires and the track and the way things are different there. So I do think there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve there. I think there always is. Every professional driver I've ever talked to that came from dirt that went to asphalt always talks about there's a little bit of a learning curve there. So I do think that he's definitely going to be somebody to watch in the O'Reillys. I don't even know how the fuck we're going to do that, guys. I don't know. The shit's about to explode on the mirror, dog. Yeah, exactly. I have a pimple right now on my face, dude. And I saw it this morning. I was like, shit, why do I have a pimple? I don't get pimples often. A lot of stress from this past week, maybe, I guess. I don't know. But, yeah, the great call from JB there. Botab says, I wish he would have stayed in dirt, but, hey, if he does have the talent, I believe he would be on top. And look, I get that. You know, I talked to Ricky a little bit about that, too, because there's people that always say, like, you know, I wish Stenhouse would have stayed around and da-da-da. Everybody's got, you know, everybody's looking at what's going to pay good, and people have different ambitions, you know. Like, some people go into dirt. Like, I talked to Sheldon Hodenshield. I asked him straight up, and that's another interview I'll have out this week on YouTube. You know, I asked him, I was like, you know, if the opportunity ever came, like, would you want to do stock car racing? Would you want to get into, like, NASCAR, IndyCar, give something like that a try? And he's like, no, I'm good right where I am. So I think it's all just about, like, what they want. And I think it's important to ask that early on. It's like, what are your goals? Like, I love learning about people's goals, and especially drivers. Like, Kyle Larson had a video out, like, and we found out kind of, like, what Kyle's chasing. Like, he's like, you know, I want to have as many championships as Tony Stewart. Like, so he's out there trying to, like, compete with, like, Tony Stewart and what his legacy was in NASCAR. I just love learning about those goals like that. So while I do think Corey Day is probably not going to be fully out of dirt, I think he's exciting to watch in a sprint car. I do think that if it is his goal to try to climb that highest ladder, like, you know, good for you, big dog. Like, get out there and do it, you know. Sheldon used to ride dirt bikes for a living. He did. I got to talk with him about that. He's a big fan of Motocrossed, the Disney show, when we were all growing up as kids. I don't know if any of y'all remember that one or not. It was like when the brother got hurt and the sister cut her hair and she went out there and ripped it up, pretending to be her brother. How did anyone ever not know the difference in that, you know? They made some stupid movies back then, bro. Just like, I get the point of it, but it was fun. But yeah, a lot of these guys, you know, everybody has their own ambitions they're chasing. And like I said, I learned so much about the dirt world this weekend out there with Nas, and very excited to talk with Nick a little bit more when he comes on this show, because those late model dirt car races, dude, Jonathan Davenport, bro, what is he, dude? What is that guy got that no one else does, dude? Like, he reminds me of, like, Robert Johnson. He sold his soul to the devil with a guitar. He sold his soul with a fucking dirt car, dude. That guy can rip. If Corey does take off and is successful, he will be Bowman's replacement. Well, that's a shot. You're calling a shot right there for sure. I'm at a point now where I don't even know. I'd have to go pull up. Maybe that'll be a topic for next week. We'll kind of start digging into some contracts and stuff like that of different people. But kind of wanted to just pull up some more of the news, kind of can read through a little bit of this news together. Let's go back over to the browser view as we wait. And you guys can keep those calls coming in if you want, 980-317-8717. We're going to pop over here, though. I saw this video today. Right along with me as I show you my personal garage. He trying to be Jay Leno, dude.
Only Heritage Ford GT that does not have a...
He's trying to be Jay Leno. Here you
Old cars, unique cars. So I pulled out my top 5 favorite Fords I wanted to show you guys.
This is my 1971 Ford Mustang. It's all about just a ridiculous amount of horsepower. It's the only Heritage Ford GT that does not have a 2 on it. It has a 22 on it. Well, if I'm being honest, it's the most tempting car to drive because it has so much ability and nowhere you can use it unless you're at the racetrack. 6140 Counterline pickup, kind of the funniest looking car. So we made it the Shaggin' Wagon.
That's the last thing I want to do is know about where fucking hair club for men Joey Logano is shagging, dude. Pretty cool collection, though, he has there. That GT is pretty sick. I will say that. Breaking news, Louis Foster signs a multi-year extension. This is another thing we're talking about contracts. It's not just NASCAR. It affects everywhere. It's like, well, how much? What are they making? How many years is it? Kyle Kirkwood had one as well in IndyCar this past week. This was funny as shit. I don't know if you guys saw this. Y'all know I like to make some fun. Y'all remember Ward Burton, dude. Watch this, man.
Comedian, so Listen to this.
There was this guy who used to do radio commercials in our town, and he couldn't say his R's. And as a kid who couldn't say his R's, I loved that. I looked up to that man. He was like my role model. I really got behind him, dude. His name was Ward Burton. That's a problem. Got a lot of them letters he can't say, just writing his name, you know? Life would have been easier if his parents just called him Steve. Like, hi, I'm Steve Smith, and today I'll be in the Pepsi 5 car. See, got all the way through the sentence before we realized there was a problem. Not all Ward. He lets you know he's fucked up straight out the gate, buddy. Hi, I wore a board and I drive a zero car off a Caterpillar. You drive a tuck, make it a cat. Isn't that neat? He couldn't say his R's, but they still forced him to do ad reads. Hi, Ward Burton.
I'm still getting forced now.
Oh, you heard him?
Do you whack wed wobbin? Wait till you try Whoopie Tuesday, buddy. Them cheeseburgers are widowy incredible, dude. I do apologize if somebody out there...
You never heard that?
No, I've never heard that, but it's true. I mean, it's true. So when they do the hearing conjugacy test, I can't hear some R's, and I can't hear some other vowels, particularly high pitch. And most of it was from shooting shotguns comparatively with my granddad growing up and be around race cars. But he's exactly right. So I think it's funny. Have more at it and laugh, because I'm laughing with you.
I like it when people have a good sense of humor. I like when guys could get ripped on like that. They have fun with it, because that shit, like, right there. One thing I can also tell you is if you listen to that on headphones, it's only coming from the left side of the ears. That somebody's got to help them get their audio stuff right for that show that they're doing. But Ward Burton, what a guy! I just saw that. I thought that was funny as fuck. There's a lot of polls going on right now. If you follow this account on X, Dab for Dale, I've been following him for a while now. He does these polls pretty much at the end of every NASCAR season. And some of the information, you know, you can only really trust like what the people are inputting into this thing. I always try to be very honest when I go in and put this stuff in. But he had some really cool polls. The most hated NASCAR driver by age. All right. So teens, Logano, Larson, and Cody Ware. 20s, Logano, Larson, Hamlin. Let's see, 30s, Logano, Larson, Gibbs. Why is it like 30-year-olds just don't like Ty Gibbs? Like, he's the third disliked driver. 40s, Logano, Hamlin, Larson. 50s, Larson, Hamlin, Dillon. Overall, Logano, Larson, and Hamlin. Logano is the most disliked NASCAR driver based on these polls, which I don't think is wrong by any means. There's some other stuff. They got the F1 race going on in Las Vegas coming up this weekend. I think Connor's going to be out there at that one. And they had a story that came out last week where they were trying to get some stuff done out there in Las Vegas, like moved around and trying to set up fan zones and all that kind of shit. Apparently, from what I read, they wanted to demolish a strip club. It says Vital Vegas has retracted its article. Oh, so they put an article out that they were going to do it, and then they retracted it because they're fucking scared. It said Vital Vegas has retracted its article that said Liberty Media purchased a Las Vegas strip club and planned to replace it with an F1 merch store. Realtor clarifies the deal wasn't with F1, but rather a company that leases space to Liberty. They put it out there that they did it, and then everyone gave them shit for trying to destroy another. Why would you just want to destroy a fine establishment like a strip club? Do you go out to an F1 race? You want to go to a little strip club with your friends? And then they realized that they were getting bashed on the internet, and they took the article down. They're scared. Scared people over there in F1, man. They're terrified. They don't know. They come over here to America, they realize real quick the strip clubs are fine establishments. And when you go to a race down on the street in Las Vegas, maybe you want to watch it from the strip club. You might not be able to see over like Candy or Cheryl, but you're trying. At the very least, you know. So they learn quickly. Don't shit on strip clubs in F1 when you're in Las Vegas. Don't do it. All right? Think about the people. Think about the strippers. Think about their life. You know? They matter. Strippers establishments matter in Las Vegas. Don't tear them up. Build more. Put TV screens on them. You know, when's the last time you went to a strip club? You know, you ever watched a race at a strip club? How do you know if you like it or not? You know, things to think about. Dale also has another one up. Let's see. There's all kinds of different polls and stuff that he's putting up right now. Go check out Dab for Dale on Twitter. You'll see. Go vote. Go get your votes in. Marshall Pruitt and everybody talking about brake damper changes on IndyCar's radar. I don't really think they need any more spec. Do we think they need any more spec over there in IndyCar? I don't. And I don't know. We've talked enough about playoffs. I think we all are on the same page with this now. We're at this point with it, right? Where we know kind of what we want, at least here. I definitely want to know, you know, how many other people out there really, I guess, I want to have somebody on that is like a hardcore playoff defender. I think that would be cool. Kind of debate with them back and forth on that. I don't know. Would y'all like that? Y'all let me know. Owen in the chat says, my senior year of college, my friends and I spent a day of finals week in a strip club with laptops and textbooks studying for 24 hours straight. It was the only place in town open 24/7. Did they have a buffet? There was an old show I used to watch when I was in my short stint of college, the 2 years that I actually was in college. They had like a strip club on this TV show. They had a buffet, and they would go in there and they would eat buffet lunch at the strip club, and then they would go back to school. Did you ever do that? Crazy. That's a wild story, Owen. I don't think I've ever in my life. Well, obviously too, because where I went to school at in Louisiana, the strip clubs were not that great. Around old Hammond, Louisiana, Southeastern Louisiana University. Not the best strip club. You had to go out to a little small town called Amite, Louisiana. Spelled A-M-I-T-E. Rough times. Connor says he'd watch it. That's it. So we're looking here a little bit more. I'm kind of going through some of this news stuff. A lot of people have been talking about the Trackhouse stuff. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that. Connor Zilic talking about the potential of Trackhouse wanting to do a double. The Coke 600 and the Indy 500. I don't know. I think that would be fucking incredible. And I think that the sooner they could put that together, the better. I don't know if maybe in like Connor Zilic's first year, if that's what they really want to do. I think they're going to have him really focus on the Cup Series. But it's gonna be very hard, like, to knock Trackhouse off of the pedal this year. I think that Trackhouse has a good shot, especially if Ross Chastain can get some wins going this year. And they've been some changes that we can look into with Ross as well. But the Trackhouse program seems like it's coming along more than any other program in NASCAR right now. With Ross Chastain, Connor Zilic, Shane Van Gisbergen, they had that came out. There was so much news that dropped last week that it's kind of a lot of it's kind of gotten buried. We're definitely going to talk about the NASCAR Mexico deal. I'm sure some of you guys saw that. Dane says Larry Mack, he loves to glaze the. I would love to have Larry Mack on this show. Dude, I love Larry. I literally have a Larry Mack trading card in my car. Like, he's like my crew chief that rides with me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a Larry Mack trading card from when he was crew chiefing for Davey. And I have that sitting up in my car. I have a lot of respect for Larry Mack. Larry Mack also works for NASCAR. So I highly doubt Larry Mack will be giving will be giving any opinions out that are on the opposing side of whatever NASCAR wants to do. I'll say that much. And I think a lot of people, I would hope a lot of people understand that. Like, usually when you work for an entity, you're always going to, you know, look to that entity and be like, hey, like, we agree with you. I agree with you. You pay me. You write my checks. Most people operate that way. I hope enough people realize that. Maybe, you know, even with like the whole, I saw like a lot of people were talking shit about like how they would call in Sirius XM radio over the past week. A lot of people have been talking about it where like they would call Dave, because like Dave Moody put out a post yesterday and was like, I've never in my life, it was like if someone disagrees with you, they call you an idiot. Well, we're in this point where maybe some people don't think that you're being honest about your opinion. maybe that's it. Because I personally, I can't see. The only way that I can see why somebody would want to keep the playoffs that works for NASCAR is just because that's what NASCAR's doing. And they just kind of defend that. And I don't know if I'm wrong for that. Maybe I'm wrong for having that perception. But I just can't see why people that have worked in this industry for as long as they have, someone like a Larry Mack, like why they would be defending it so hard other than this is who pays me. That makes the most sense. That makes the absolute most sense. And when it comes to like people that are, you know, just on Twitter or whatever, you never really can tell. You never really can. A lot of people, I think about my dad sometimes, you know, and like my mom, like my dad and my uncle are like complete polar opposites when it comes to politics. Like my uncle is like, he religiously watches CNN. My dad religiously watches Fox. So like any time that they're together in a room, oh, it's so fun. It's so fun. And like you realize that like, okay, these dudes are just regurgitating opinions that they've heard on these networks. That's all that they're doing. And when you get to that point where you can kind of see through that fog, you're like, okay, but how do you really feel? How do you really feel? Like turn the mics off, turn the shit off. How you really feel? That's what I want to know. I want to know, how does Dave Moody really feel? How does Larry Mack really feel? How do all the people that get paid by NASCAR, that do NASCAR media, how do they really feel? You know? Owen says, as a newer NASCAR fan, I explained the playoffs to my dad, who has never watched a race in his life. He said, oh, that's cool. And he watched final race this year and was like pissed. Yeah, exactly. Because like anybody that does that or that watches that is eventually going to be at a place where they're like, this doesn't seem right. That doesn't seem right, you know? It's like somebody made an analogy about like with the Hamlin thing. It'd be like, that'd be like a team like running up the score like 48-3, and then they just decide, okay, we're gonna just stop the game right now here at the end, and whoever scores first wins the game. When like the other team's up like 43-3. And that's the thing that I realized this past weekend is like maybe, you know, playoffs aside, maybe it's green. Like, I think that the only problem with the Phoenix race was like people were really like, people could turn to the playoff format all they want, but what people were really mad about was green, white, checkered. That's what people should really be mad about in that situation. It was green, white, checkered. Green, white, checkered is what made that happen. You know, because people are going to constantly defend the whole playoff thing like, oh, well, Denny wouldn't have even been there if it would have been this way and this way. You don't even know. You don't even know how it would have really been because everybody's racing towards this format. So people that make that argument is crazy. But I think the more that, like 2 weeks have been by now, and I've had more time to think about it, it's like if green, white, checker didn't exist, Denny would have won that race. It was the final nail. So it's like So everybody's mad about playoffs now, which I get. I personally want to see Winston Cup points. I want to see Latford or whatever they fucking call it. You know, just it cuts down the bullshit. It cuts down bullshit where people don't really have a reason to bitch. And I put this out yesterday. I'm going to read it because this was I put it on my Instagram. It was a response to somebody that was talking about the playoffs. And this is really how I feel. This is 100% truthful about how I feel about it. When I talk about legitimacy, I'm not saying the current system is illegitimate by rule. NASCAR decides the format, so whoever wins under that format is the champion. Simple. What I'm talking about is sporting clarity. The clean season-long arc where fans and drivers can see a champion forming over time. Both F1 and IndyCar has that, along with other racing series in America and around the world. Most stick and ball sports have it for the regular season, too, until the playoffs start. And that's where NASCAR's current format gets strange to me, and it really fucking does. And it's because my whole point here, if we want playoffs, then why are non-playoff cars still out there shaping the outcome? No other sport does that. If the goal is to mirror stick and ball playoff legitimacy, then only the playoff contenders should be on the track when the playoffs begin. Otherwise, it becomes a hybrid where neither philosophy fits cleanly. Racing doesn't need that confusion. It don't. For generations, the sport crowned the driver who delivered the best season from start to finish. Drivers know the mission from day one and build towards it race by race. It's the purest form of a motorsport championship. And then I close it out basically saying, I'm still going to watch NASCAR. I'm still going to enjoy it. I love NASCAR. I'm not just going to quit watching NASCAR because of decisions and shit like that they make. I might be pissed off at it. Drivers may decide that they don't want to race in that type of a situation anymore. I like the cars. I like the drivers. I like the way I just like racing. I like racing. And that's really all it is. But I've never really understood the whole playoff thing. I haven't. And it's because of that simple fact. It's like every other playoff, it's just the playoff teams that are playing each other. So the whole stick and ball sports shit just doesn't make much sense to me. And I'm texting our guest right now just to kind of give him a heads up. But yeah, I wanted to kind of clear that up because it's I really do. I want to know what they really feel. If NASCAR, I guess, I think a good question for anybody that calls into, the XM radio stations, if NASCAR didn't cut your check, how would you feel? And then, you can't really argue because whatever they say is what they say, even whether it's on the air or off the air. But it's just what would you think? What would you think? Do you replace green-white checker in playoff races with less than 10 laps to go as a red flag? I'll be honest, when World of Outlaws were going under caution this past week and they just stop it, I kind of like that. I kind of like that. I feel at least it's the race might drag out. The race might be long. That might not be great for network television. But you want to, if this is all just about fairness and trying to make things fair, then yeah, that's the easiest way. It's the easiest way to do it. So I don't know. I really don't. But we're going to get ready to swap over to our guest box now. I've got Nick here waiting, and we're going to bring him on and chat with him a little bit. You wish Chaz was my guest. We got Nick Hoffman, World of Outlaws late model driver, is going to be joining us. So we're going to get him popped on into here, and then I'll have some questions. If you guys have some questions for him, feel free to drop them in the chat, and we'll check them out. So let me get everything positioned. All right, he's here. He's here. We're going to get him over here on the live screen. Give us one sec. What's up, dude?
How are you doing?
Doing good. All right, we're going to get you transitioned over. Okay.
You got me good?
Yeah, you look good to me. We're going to make sure we get you nice and centered here on the screen. All right. All right, everybody. We now welcome on Nick Hoffman, driver of the number 9 World of Outlaws NOS Energy late model, a A man of the people here. What you got? You got snowboards back there on the wall, dude?
Yeah, do a couple snowboarding trips a year. Last year I got to go to Breckenridge and Vail. So I enjoy it. Just a little bit of off season, the little off season we get, but got to do something different, you know.
Dude, I was about to say, like, what off season, bro? After being there this past weekend and learning about all of the traveling that you guys have to do, that is that's wild, bro. That you're built different, essentially.
Yeah, and a little different than like the sprint car side. Most of us drivers have to, drive the rig or the merchandise trailer or this or that. So, I drive the rig to every single event. So I got to crew chief the car, drive the race car, and drive the rig. And then I got 3 really good crew guys right now. So it takes a little bit off of me once I get to the racetrack. But, as far as the off season go, these guys are down here digging already. We got the Dome coming up here in a couple weeks. That's one of our biggest events. And then I'll go run Chili Bowl too. So we fire back up second week of January. So there ain't much.
Yeah, man. The Dome's one I heard about. So obviously there's a good bit of stuff that I want to talk with you about, just kind of dipping my feet into the world of dirt. The most that I knew about dirt racing from where I was coming from before I moved here to North Carolina, are you familiar with Pike County Speedway in Mississippi?
I know of it. That's about it.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you what it looks like. Nothing.
All right. So that's where I would go to a few dirt races. I had a buddy of mine that did some late model dirt racing out there, and that was really the only experience that I ever had in that world. Going out to the Charlotte Dirt Track and experiencing 3 different types of cars and how big that event really is. Just, I guess, talk to me a little bit about how this started for you. Like, because from what I gathered, you may not have originally had dirt racing on your I guess your vision board at some point in time. Like, how did your entire career kind of get started?
Yeah, so I'm originally from the St. Louis area. I was on the Illinois side of the Mississippi, but my dad dirt raced, so I grew up around it. But I always had the envision of being a NASCAR driver like any other kid, you know. So we packed up when I was 10 years old. My dad was an engine builder. We moved down here to North Carolina so he could build motors, and then myself try and chase this NASCAR dream, you know. And actually was tied in with Carl Edwards at the time. He moved with us. So Carl did a lot for my career growing up, and just really cool the success he had. When he moved down here with us, he had no ride or anything, was just kind of hoping that he could find something, and he got that deal with Roush. So that was our ties. And then, I did a lot of asphalt racing, Bandoleros, legend cars, a little bit of asphalt late model stuff to transition into getting approved to run a truck. And then ran 3 truck races when I was 18 for Mike Mittler. And that all ties back into Carl. Carl drove for Mike, and my dad was working there when Carl was driving for Mike. So I did a lot of asphalt racing. And then when I was, backtrack to 14, is when I started getting back into like dirt racing, or, trying to start my career dirt racing and do some street stock stuff. And then eventually modifieds when I was 15, and moved through the ranks there pretty quick, on the asphalt side and the dirt side. I made a living racing modifieds. Everybody kind of knows that. I just got to be pretty good and winning a bunch of modified races. And the next step for me turns into super late models on dirt. And when I knew the NASCAR side really wasn't feasible or not going to happen for me, I just focused all my eggs in one basket on racing on dirt, and started making a name for myself racing modifieds. And I started my chassis business when I was 19, straight out of high school, and we're still striving today. So it's pretty cool. We're 14 years into a chassis business here. We're getting ready to be 14 years, and it's still clicking. And now I'm making a living racing dirt late models. So I would say it's a dream come true. You always want to race NASCAR and stuff like that. But, now I'm at the top step of dirt racing with the World of Outlaws. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, and I think that for anybody that was coming over from like just, maybe mainly NASCAR watchers or IndyCar watchers that had followed my content for a little while, like they got to see it's just as big of a show, I feel like, as NASCAR and IndyCar can be. It's just its own like category. With the modifieds, they interest me. That's like some Mad Max looking cars, dude. Like what are the big key differences between like a modified and a late model car?
Yeah, so what you've seen this weekend was a big block modified, and that's totally different from what I did. The big block side is really big in the Northeast, New York, Pennsylvania, even into Canada and stuff like that. I raced what you would call like an IMCA or UMP modified. UMP is the series that I ran 100% of my time, and that's really big in the Midwest. And so that's what I build. You're looking at, a car that's only on an 8-inch tire and, upwards of 700 to 750 horsepower. So a very high horsepower, low grip type car. So I feel like it teaches you a lot moving into late models or anything else you want to do. So you look at a lot of the top late model guys in the country, Jimmy Owens, a Ricky Thornton Jr., a lot of those guys raced modifieds growing up or throughout their career. Mike Marlar. I mean, there's just a ton of us guys that were really good in modifieds, and, you transition to full-time late models, and I wouldn't say comes easy or comes quicker, but it's just a matter of it teaches you a lot. So it's I would say a feeder series into the late model side, and then the late models is what you gotta do to make a career out of it.
Yeah, you've said before that the late models are a lot more cutthroat than the modifieds. Yes. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, just the type of racing. It's just way more aggressive. When you throw the green in a late model race, I mean, you have to be elbows up, and you don't save tires anymore or save equipment. It's like if we're running a 50-lap race like Saturday night, I mean, it's get it on from the get-go, and just very cutthroat racing of like slide or be slid. You see that a lot in sprint car, midget racing, and that's how late models is pretty much transitioned. It used to be like late models was a bunch of old guys, back in the day. It was like, the guys that are 40, 50 years old and stuff. Now you're getting a bunch of, I mean, hell, there was a kid in the field the other night that was 13 years old that made the race.
Malone, right?
Yeah, Beckham Malone was 13 years old, and the kid's really good, but he made the race, and that says a lot to begin with. And then you got a lot of guys in their teens and then 20s, and I'm, now in my early 30s, and I'm getting up there with, the older guys. So definitely seems like the race span of your career is longer in a late model than, say, a sprint car or an open wheel guy, if you want it to be. But I feel like you get in your prime in your 30s to early 40s in late model racing.
It seems that way. I mean, I feel like 30s are your prime, like no matter what you do, almost in a way. It's like you have enough understanding and enough of a I guess kind of like a portfolio to pull around with you of like what your knowledge is. And the fact that you can be 13 years old and be out there, though, it's an insane thought to me. I mean, how many kids are starting out? Like, are they usually around that age when they start out?
No, not at all. He's been racing some crate late model stuff, which is a lot of times a feeder into the super late model side, and he won a couple pretty big crate races. So he's a little bit different, but I would say most guys are starting super racing at 16 or so. Now, Bobby Pierce, I will say, started it when he was 13, and obviously he's right now the best in the country. But
yeah.
He was very young, but he was just fortunate that his dad was building cars and they could stick him in a car and get him laps and stuff. So I would say most of the time they're at least 18. And there's no technical age limit. It's just you got to basically prove yourself. And Beckham has done that. And obviously to even make the field in a 70-car race is a pretty big deal. So, so you kind of see him all over the board. I really I got a couple starts when I was like 20. 19, 20 range, and just wasn't great. I didn't do a very good job, and wish I would have knew then what I know now, on a lot of stuff, but it's just a matter of racing more. And this late model side, if you don't do it full time, and I mean, most of us are racing now 80 races a year, no problem. If you don't do that, then you're going to fall behind and not be near as good. So you got to race a lot.
Yeah, that's why I was saying you just got to be built different. One guy that I did know about that was really built different was Scott Bloomquist, and you have raced for him before in the past. That dude is just – he seems like even off the track, like the pictures of him where he was just shirtless, he's in the car. How did that relationship start between the two of you guys?
Yeah, so he got to be like watching a little bit of my modified success and how I race. Scott was always a guy who run right in the middle of the racetrack, very smooth. That's how he won all of his races. And I was kind of the same way of like, I don't go up there hit the wall to win the race, and don't run a cushion or anything like that. I kind of focused my time on the middle or bottom of the racetrack, kind of how he was. And then he was tied in with Cody Summer. Cody's the promoter of the Dome, and Cody was the manager of that team for a while. And so Cody's one of my best friends. And so Cody kind of put that deal together for me. And Scott was injured and needed somebody to drive for him. So I came in and was able to race for almost 6 months for him there. And some of the best times of my life. I mean, it was fun. As far as Scott's just a different personality. He's a showman. Like, he is so good when the lights are on of doing, whether it was the crotch top or coming out at Gateway with Rico on his shoulders. I mean, he just lived for those moments, you know, and sold more T-shirts than anybody ever, you know, in dirt racing or asphalt racing, like combined motorsports in general. Nobody sold more merchandise than Scott Blomqvist, you know. He was our Dale Earnhardt, you know, like, everybody knew the face. They knew who he was. He did intimidate people just because how he comes off. But, I mean, away from the racetrack, he was such a genuine and a nice guy. Like, he was fun to be around and stuff. And, I was just very fortunate to get to drive for him. There was very few drivers in their whole careers that ever got to race with Scott or drive for Scott. And I was just proud to be one of those. And I say it a lot now. If it wasn't for that time with him, I don't feel like I'd be where I am today. It led me down this path of becoming a full-time late model driver, and he taught me a bunch. So it was cool. I just was trying to be like a sponge and soak up as much knowledge as I could. And it sucks we don't have him here now. You know, like, he was so big for dirt late model racing in general. And it's just crazy that he's not here anymore.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I learned about him too late in my life. I feel like this would have been a guy that I would have loved to have followed throughout, because I always like reach out for like those unorthodox kind of like souls that are out there doing different things. And
man, he was so much different. I mean, he believed in aliens. I mean, he just thought different. Like, he swears he's seen aliens. I mean, he just was built different for sure, and it was pretty wild.
What's one of the like most unorthodox things that he taught you that maybe you still use today, like in the racing world?
Just I don't even know. Like, he worked harder than everybody. It felt like that was probably what won him the most races throughout his career. Like, everybody always says you work hard in the shop, this and that, but Scott literally was a guy, like, he wouldn't go to sleep unless he got something figured out. And there was times where, like, we were switching rear ends and changing stuff, you know, at 2 or 3 in the morning just because he wasn't happy with how things lined out or whatever. So I don't know, that and just the smallest little things. I mean, the way he did things was different, but just like I'm very OCD, but you know, I've always color matched like a pop rivet and stuff like that, but he would make you go through a wrap. And if it was orange over here, you use an orange rivet. If it's white here, you use a white rivet. Like, everything had to be perfect, you know, on every single piece of that race car. And I just feel like that's what probably got him so far ahead of everybody in the late 90s, early 2000s, is he was just so perfection on everything, every little piece. So I would say I took that from, like, just make sure you do, you know, you don't shortcut anything.
Yeah, so he's kind of the methodical madman a little bit.
Yes, 100%. And I'm telling you, like, it was crazy to me because, you know, he's an older guy, and you would think most of them older guys that are old race car drivers, that they don't really care about iRacing and all the new technology and this and that. And this guy, he loved that shit. Like, he would sit on that iRacing rig all night and just cut laps, and then, like, he would be like, hey, you got to go beat this lap. And I'd have to get on there and run, you know, for a couple hours to beat him. And it's like, it was just wild to see that side of Scott that, I mean, he was a normal guy, but it was just like, you know, he loved that kind of stuff. He lived for racing.
It sounds like, yeah, he was one of those that, like, stayed current with the times. Like, and that gives you an edge more than most people realize, is like doing that. So, I mean, like, obviously, you know, working with anybody like him is an awesome thing. And you're 3 years now into your World of Outlaws career. You just actually, I saw this posted on X the other day, and I wanted to ask you about it. You are the inaugural winner of the Coltman Farms Racing Cup. Can you talk to us a little bit about what that is and how cool that feels to be an inaugural winner of something? Like, you'll have that in history for the rest of your life.
Yeah, so Coleman Farm sponsors a lot of cars, and they do a lot for motorsports. And they announced this deal earlier this year to do this Coleman Farm Cup. And basically all it is the crown jewel races for our World of Outlaws season. So we had, I think it might have been like 12 different events, but it was more than that as far as races. Like this weekend was 3 of them, at Charlotte. So it was basically a points championship towards all those crown jewel races. So it just means that I was the best as far as the big races, the ones that paid the most and all that. It was really cool for me. That one, it was really nice for anybody to set up that little series to, go on top of the championship side. And obviously didn't get the championship, ended up second there, but to get the Coleman Farm Cup was really neat. And we didn't know what we were actually getting. We knew it paid $7,500 to win. And they just told us, hey, this trophy is really cool. Like, didn't tell us anything more about it. And then at the World Finals there, they unveiled the trophy, which was a 1,200-pound gun safe. Yeah, it's a massive safe. And this safe, I looked it up, this safe costs more than what it paid to win.
Holy
so
shit.
It's pretty badass. And so 1,200-pound safe, I ended up winning this thing and had to drag it home. I'd hate to be, if Bobby would have beat me and him would have to put this thing in his hauler to get it home, it was going to be a bitch. So I was able to get it home and put it in its place. And it's pretty wild. It's a really cool trophy. Just Brett Coleman, he kind of explained it as like, I want something different, like the Martinsville clock, this and that. So he's like, I want to do a gun safe. And so it's really neat. It's a pretty cool centerpiece as soon as you walk in my shop.
Yeah, man. And speaking of like your place, so like I was talking to you online. I know I came out to the track and like I felt like an immediate idiot because I'm just like, hey, how you doing, whatever. I've literally been out to like your hangout at your crib, like your man cave. And I know that there's a lot of people that talk about that kind of in the series a little bit. I know you're good buddies with Ricky, with Larson, everybody. Having a place like that for everyone to come around, like how often does everyone still get to like come over and just kind of hang out and like shoot the shit on table hockey like I basically did for hours?
So we seen the sun come up Sunday morning.
Oh shit.
Saturday night after the World Finals. I've pretty much tabbed that as my big party every year. And it's nice. It's just a bunch of us racers and a couple crew guys and whoever else. I built this place as just a big hangout. That's where I'm at right now, is my Blue Deuce Tavern. You can see it on my snowboard back there, the sticker. But I just tabbed it as the Blue Deuce Tavern. And I had to build it as a house in order to build my shop this big. So I just built it as a big bar and a hangout area. It's got 2 bedrooms for my crew guys to live in. And it's just really cool. And I get a lot of guys that come over throughout the year too, just because Longhorn Chassis is on the same road as me. They're just 5 miles that way. And so you get a lot of guys that are coming in town to build a new late model at Longhorn, and they can come stop by my place and hang out and have a drink and stuff like that. So, but Saturday night, the World Finals has turned into a complete shit show, basically. But it's a pretty good time. We had Donnie Schatz. I have a modified, one of my original Elite car that I built in 2012 inside my bar, and it's upstairs. Like we had Donnie Schatz up there at 5 a.m. climbing his ass in this modified. It was pretty funny. Yeah. So it's just really cool. You get a guy like Donnie Schatz wants to come and hang out at your place. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, dude's got one of the most funnest names to say too. Like every time he was like out there on the track that night when we all thought that he had a chance to win, it was just shot. Just roll.
Yeah. So Ross Weiss made a video of that, posted on social media because at the banquet on Sunday they played that song and they just panned over to Donnie. It's pretty good.
That's perfect, dude. That's exactly how it should be. So you said the next race for you coming up is going to be the Dome, right? How are you looking to execute out there? Because I've heard that is kind of like one of the crown jewels of dirt racing.
Yeah, it's turned into a massive event. It's unbelievable. I've been fortunate to run really well there. I've won a prelim night in a modified, and I've won a prelim night in a late model. I just haven't won on Saturday yet. And I tell people that's probably the one I want to win more than any race in the country. Just being from St. Louis, the trophy's really cool. It just means a lot to me. And I haven't got to win on Saturday yet, so hopefully we can maybe get that done this year. But just a huge event. It's unbelievable as far as a driver, how much support you get from fans, merchandise side. it's pretty incredible, and it's turned into a crown jewel. It pays really well. And it's a great equalizer, like as far as pretty much anybody can go there and have a shot. A lot of these bigger racetracks, it gets tough. It starts coming down to equipment and setup stuff more than the dome. Is kind of a free for all. It's like you just never know, and a lot of it has to be luck, like whether it's a pill draw or not getting ran over on a restart or this and that. There's so many things that play into it, but it is a huge event. And then it's in downtown St. Louis, so when the races are over, you can go hang out at bars or whatever you want to do. It's something that I feel like everybody in motorsports, don't matter if you're an asphalt fan or a dirt fan, you need to see it at some point in your career.
Yeah, I love the idea of filling up like Busch Stadium with just a bunch of just like race guys. Because when I go out there to like Worldwide or whatever, like we'll go for NASCAR or for IndyCar. Always got to go over to that area in downtown St. Louis. Always a fun time. Being from New Orleans too, like it's kind of like anything along the Mississippi, you get to where like that's it. So you being from there is huge. Chili Bowl's another one I'll be kind of like looking at this year as well. So just really happy to get a little bit deeper into the dirt world now that I'm up here. Definitely gonna have to come and kick it with you some more. One question I did have from Botabs here in our chat. Was asking about Tyler Seary, and if you had saw that accident that happened to him. I mean, it's a little bit more the scarier side of what you guys go through. I've heard that he is okay, but yeah, that was a pretty rough one. Do you chat with him or talk to him at all?
No, I mean, I know him through big block racing of Max McLaughlin, I believe, drove for him a couple of years ago and stuff. And yeah, that was a scary crash. I mean, we all know what we're up against whenever we strap in that thing, and you just don't expect that kind of stuff will happen. It's just we don't really have any good videos of what exactly happened, but from what I kind of understand is he ended up hitting driver's side into that opening and in turn 3, and man, by the time they got the video to the car, like got the camera over to it, that thing was disintegrating. You couldn't even tell who it was, and yeah, definitely a scary situation. And Stuart Friesen, kind of the same deal earlier this year, got very hurt in the same type of car, and I wouldn't say a very similar situation, but just hit on a blunt end of a wall, and it sucks. So yeah, it looks like he's going to make a full recovery, but that was a tough hit. I mean, I think he broke his arm, ribs, sternum, had burns on his leg. I mean, it definitely sucks. You don't want to see that in any type of motorsports, right? But that one was pretty crazy. It was a very eerie feeling because, like, I remember coming out of the trailer, I didn't even know what happened, and it was just so quiet. And then you look at the board, and they're just showing, a couple cars parked on the back straightaway as far as like under red flag, and so I was like, somebody must have crashed pretty bad. And, yeah, that was a pretty eerie feeling for sure.
You guys put the balls on the dash, dude. I mean, we all know that y'all are built a little bit different, and it shows, especially in those moments like that. So glad he is okay, and really just excited to get to follow your career a little bit more, and especially maybe get to hang out a little bit more now that we're up here in this area. But just wanted to thank you for coming on the show today, man, talking with us, getting a little bit more of the people that watch, a little bit more acclimated maybe with the dirt world, and we'll definitely be rooting for you when you go out there in Gateway. Man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And I'm a race fan of all forms of motorsport. I love NASCAR. I love all those guys. I'm friends with quite a few of them, and I don't care what it is. If there's a race on, I'm going to watch it. So I feel like, all fans need to be that way. You don't love or hate one or the other. We're all a big family, and it's just really cool to see people, start crossing over from one to the other. Rising
tide, that's what they say, man. And I guess just knowing that, one more question I'll ask you. I've been kind of gathering this, doing kind of like an internal poll. NASCAR playoffs or no playoffs? What do you say?
Yeah, I'm a no playoffs guy. Just a couple dirt series have went that way. Lucas went that way with the playoff deal, and I don't know. It don't pan out. I feel like as good as it should. Kyle's one of my buddies, so like I was pumped up that he won the championship. Obviously,
he's a winner. Yeah.
Yes. It sucks that Denny lost it the way he did, and that's just the part of the playoff situation. It just sucks. But yeah, I can see how they can build hype around it, and it's good sometimes. But as far as a racer and a competitor, I feel like the no playoff side is how you actually win a championship.
There you go, and there you have it. Well, Nick, thanks so much, man, for being on, and best of luck to you. We'll be talking pretty soon, I'm sure.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
All right, take care, man. All right, so that was Nick. We appreciate him being on, and we'll talk to you later. All right. So there you have it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Learned a lot. I know I learned a good bit from him, and getting to hang out at his spot. He's got one of the coolest little bar areas up here in the North Carolina area. So, yeah, Botab says, bad call, taking 4 tires. I'm a Larson fan, but was rooting for Denny. Yeah, and that's what a lot of us have been talking about on this program. Very excited to have to hear that we've got more racing coming up, though, especially with Gateway, with Nick going out there. So I'll be tuned in for that. And then, of course, we have Chili Bowl here in the off season. So plenty of stuff to watch if you are a race fan, to learn about. It's been a great show so far today, guys, I would say. And after that interview, I think that we're going to go ahead and call it. We had a great first hour. Big thanks to JB for calling in today, talking a little bit about what's going on in the world of racing. Like we said before, the talking points may get a little bit lower. We'll still be going live pretty much every week talking about racing. Hopefully to hear from some of you guys more. And Botab says, correction, 95 days until Daytona. I know it's the off season always seems longer than it actually is. I'll say that. But it always comes back around really quickly. So we're going to keep things going here. Make sure you tune in again next Wednesday for Motorsport Report. Maybe we'll have another guest on to talk with a little bit and just kind of get a little bit closer to seeing if we are going to trial in NASCAR. And I'm sure a lot of our content will be focused about that. Where else can we see you, Chase? You can follow me on social media. I pretty much post every day on X, Instagram. Yeah, not really so much on Facebook. Pretty much X and Instagram are like my playgrounds. I'll post stuff on TikTok every now and then just because it's just, but Instagram and X are the two main places where I'm most active. And you can follow me at Garage Guy Chase, just like on everything else. Appreciate that, Dave. Yeah, and Fred as well. Fred, thanks so much. And I look forward to hearing from you guys as well because, again, so many people have been talking about just like the hate that they've been getting for calling in the radio shows and shit like that. Like, bring it over here. 980-317-8717. You guys call, talk. I just love having conversations with race fans about racing. Always down to hear different perspectives and different ways of seeing things and just kind of going back and forth on that. So it's we appreciate you. I appreciate you, Botabs. Thanks so much, man. And but yeah, next Wednesday we'll be back at it. Until then, just keep up with me over on X and Instagram, and we'll try to get another awesome interview lined up for us next week. And let me know as well, guys. Get on social media. Let me know who you want to hear from, what drivers, maybe in the dirt world, in NASCAR, IndyCar, all different places, all different series. I'm always down to have these conversations and talk. So you guys keep me in the know. Thanks so much for tuning in. Appreciate y'all. And we'll see you next week on Motorsport Report. Dun, 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 dun.